Hey, what's up? This is Silver Surfer from LifestyleTrading101.com. And I wanted to go over this past week. I think it's a really good learning opportunity to go over what happened. And what I think happened was actually basically this downtrend from the highs. Currently, it's the end of the first week of May. And it looks like we formed an A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's that big one. That's the beginning of an ending diagonal. So we had support right here at the bottom of wave two. That was around 2032, and that support level was tested. And one of the alerts I sent out was that there's support in this 2041, 2035 region, and it could be a buying opportunity. Of course, we finished out the weekend at 2053.5, and it looks like the momentum should bring us forward higher into the beginning of next week. But let's take a look at the hourly chart. The hourly chart. Oh, this is what a leading diagonal, a contracting diagonal is. So you have basically a big one, a two, and then a three that's lower than that one, and then a four, and then a five, and it all remains within this downward sloping channel in which wave one is bigger than wave three, which is bigger than wave five. And if you look at it, we had this long A wave followed by a B wave pop after the Fed announcement, and then basically the Bank of Japan announcement brought it down. It popped back up during the day, but it couldn't exceed the top of this one. And then from there, that's when the wave one began. And that's basically this one. So this one is basically here. All right, so this one is basically here, followed by wave two pop. And wave three, which can also be divided by A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a wave three. The wave four popped, breaking the stops at the top of that's wave two, and then five. So it's all within this channel. And if you look across, so this is the S&P. If you look across the Nasdaq, you'll also see the same thing. So, you skip through this stuff, and here, right? So this Nasdaq, the Nasdaq was already dropping in an AB 1, 2, 3, 4, and then where the diagonal begins is this blue stuff. So you have a three wave one, which is really big, followed by wave two, and then 3, 4, 5, right? So one is bigger than three, which is bigger than five. And they're all within this downward sloping channel. And so that's the structure of a diagonal. Now, the question still remains whether this is a leading diagonal or an ending diagonal, but we'll get to that later. For now, I just wanted to go over, what happened. See, during corrections, like there's a lot of earnings. Like whenever you have a lot of earnings and news events, that's like and you're inside the middle of a correction, it's very, very difficult to kind of predict what happens, right? So even if you shorted, it would always pop back up. The key is the key short moments. Of course, it's easy if you identified that it's an ending diagonal, then you would just short the top of 2 and 4. But the key is when this happens that you don't buy when it goes up, because every time it goes up, you try to buy, it's just going to fall right back down and break the previous lows. And if it breaks the previous lows and you try to short, then it's just going to pop back up. So that's why ending diagonals are very difficult to trade, and diagonals can also be often confused with the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 setup, right? So a lot of people thought there was like a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 setup, and into this Friday jobs report. So into this Friday jobs report, right? So we already had a 1, 2, 1, 2, and people were thinking, oh, there's a big 3. So when that jobs report came out on Friday, a lot of people probably tried to short here, thinking it would go down, like break 2030, go to 2020, 2010. But the thing is, it's not a 1, 2, 1, 2 setup. It's, in my opinion, an ending diagonal, possibly a leading diagonal, but definitely a contracting diagonal. And the question is whether it's leading or ending. And why leading or ending? Well, let's take a look at this chart, right? So these contracting diagonals usually appear in the wave 5 position. So if you're going down too far, then it'll like end with an ending diagonal because this prior drop was so far down that it needs to do an ending diagonal, right? So that's basically what happened in the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq dropped a lot, and you could see the bottom of wave 1 was like 4,300. The bottom of wave 3 was like 4,290, and then 5 was like 4,270. So it's like they're all really close together. So that has a higher probability of being an ending diagonal in a bear market, which means it reverses back up. Now this contracting diagonal that we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, can it be, a leading diagonal? Well, leading diagonals would be in the wave 1 position. The issue is we have an AB prior to that. So, can you have an AB1? This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is an entire 1, followed by a 2 pop, and then a big 3 drop. Well, that's what the bears would prefer. That would be a leading diagonal. But it is also possible to have ending diagonals in the C wave position, right? So we have an AB, and then this entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is in the C wave position. So if we have an ABC, and that C was an ending diagonal, then that could be an ending diagonal, which means we have reversed back up. Now, if we reverse back up, think about it. So you look at this, you basically have a 3, 4, 5, and then this AB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can that be a fourth wave? I actually think so. The fourth wave support happens right. We have this kind of ever slightly increasing support. First you have it here, then you have it here, then you have it here, and it could be that we have a fifth wave up. Now, some people, the bears, are saying that it's basically, we're going to pop back up to the 2060 or 70 region and then turn back down and then challenge the 2000 level. That's possible, but based on the internal structure, if this really is an ending diagonal, then I don't think that would happen, because ending diagonals end a pattern. They don't begin one, unless that's the leading diagonal. If that's the leading diagonal and we get a wave 2 pop, we could get a big 3 down, and that would last quite a while. So right now that's the predicament, but I'm leaning towards this being a fourth wave. If we look at the Russell has been the strongest in terms of this rally from the February lows, right? So it actually rallied right above 1150, like 1154, and basically, challenging the same place where we dropped from just before 2016. So that same level is where it turned down, and it turned down in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern, right? It turned down in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern. Now the leading diagonal it dropped further during this diagonal than it did with the Nasdaq, and basically it's because it just began from the top as an ending diagonal, whereas the S&P began with an AB, and then the Nasdaq. So the S&P began with. Let me show you the S&P began with an AB and then an ending diagonal, whereas the Nasdaq already had an AB 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it began an ending diagonal in the wave 5 position, right? So whereas the Russell had the ending diagonal straight from the top. Now, whenever you have something straight from the top, it could be a wave 1, right? It could be in the wave 1 position followed by a wave 2 pop, and then a strong wave 3 drop, right? So that is a possibility. But the thing is, if that is the case, then what would happen with the Nasdaq? Well, the Nasdaq, if this is a drop and it pops, it would bring you close to, if this is just a wave, if this is just the beginning, then we would go really low. So it seems like the bearish case would be just too bearish, and so I'm more inclined to think of this as wave 1, this down as wave 2, and then we might actually be getting wave 3 up. It's possible. It might not be that strong. It actually could be, and then this entire thing could be an ending diagonal, right? So it could be a 1, 2, and the 3 is not exactly an impulsive 3, but it's kind of like over here, and then maybe the 4 is here, and then maybe the 5 is up here, right? So that also is a possibility. But I think regardless, right now it is somewhat clear that we finally, of course, looking back, it's clear, but during the process, it's not so clear. But right now we have an AB 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then with a strong reversal. And the reversal usually starts with an A wave up, and then a B wave fake out, and then finally it actually begins. And it actually crossed this downtrend line. So if you look at this other chart shows a downtrend line that I pointed out a couple of days ago, and it finally broke out towards the end. That's actually when I alerted to you guys, subscribers, that it could be a buying opportunity at 43.20. And of course, we ended up at 43.29, and we'll see if the momentum pops up. It could retest 4,300 or 43.10, and then go back up. It's a possibility. But like, yeah, when during the labeling process, as the waves are developing, I usually prefer to use this kind of structure: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's obviously like seeing the ending diagonal like ahead of time would be more ideal. But whenever I see a high fourth wave, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and that 4 is like, pretty high and keeps happening, that's a clue that we're in an ending diagonal. And so from there, you can just, next time that happens, you can reference this chart. You can reference these diagrams. And I'm actually documenting this stuff in the link. So if you click contracting diagonals, you'll go to this Elliott wave page where I'm actually documenting a lot of the things related to diagonals. I'm giving real life examples and documenting, when we had any diagonal. So for example, in August of 2015, when we had that huge drop, that was actually, it began with an expanding leading diagonal, right? This little, it began with what looks like this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So contrary to a leading diagonal where wave 1 is bigger than wave 5, this one, wave 5 is bigger than wave 1, right? So that happened here. If you look at it carefully, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a pop back to where the diagonal began, and then a huge wave 3 down. So that was an expanding leading diagonal. Diagonals happen also, in history. Here's an example from 1998 from the Elliott Wave book. Here's an example on an intraday basis from December 14th, 2015. And so I have many different examples here, including the ones that we just completed in the S&P and Nasdaq that I added to this collection. So this is good for reference in the future. But yeah, in terms of this upcoming week, it looks like if this is an ABC, it's possible that this entire thing is just wave A, and then we have an entire wave B up before an entire wave C down. Though my hunch is to say that this is the completion of a fourth wave, ABC, and then we're in a fifth wave up towards over the highs, over 2100, 2110, possibly like more likely 2130 or 40 or 50. So we'll see what happens. Well, anyway, I thought this was a really great learning opportunity to point this out. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll leave you guys with some inspiration. New wave is just beginning, and I'm going in, and I think this ending diagonal is a good opportunity to put some take some risk. And I also encourage some of you guys to check out the Instagram account where we have some more inspirational kind of quotes, and you can find that at instagram.com/silversurfertrades. or just go on your phone and search for surfer trades. That's it for now. I'll see you guys next time, and may the waves be with you.